I don't share my experience with anybody that don't have a genuine concern about those children.
He wasn't prepared to find the body. He saw the black hair with big beads on the end of pigtails. He saw the bones scattered by neighborhood dogs.
It was an area pretty much like this after we got up to the incline. And this area looked like where the remains would be.
The remains belonged to LaTonya Wilson, 7. She was one of about 30 black youths who were killed in the Atlanta child murders from 1979 to 1981.
It's 11 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
To live in Atlanta at the time was to be afraid and confused. Kids vanished while walking home from the roller rink, while working odd jobs, while doing nothing but standing in the street.
We was ready to find, the city was really on fire and was ready to find the truth out, like, who's doing this and why?
Residents responded by patrolling their neighborhoods. Some carried baseball bats. Parents figured out how to warn their kids while also trying not to scare them.
Well, be alert, be aware, be concerned enough for your own safety. And lock the doors, no radio or TV at night, keep your eyes open, sleep, but be aware of your surroundings.
LaTonya Wilson's disappearance might be the most perplexing of all. The other kids had been boys except for one, and they'd gone missing while away from home. The 7-year-old, meanwhile, was said to be asleep in bed when someone took her. On June 22, 1980, her parents called police. They said someone had removed a recently replaced pane of glass in the window of their first-floor unit. The person had then come inside for the girl and carried her out the back door. To pull this off, police said the perpetrator had to climb over another sleeping child and then walk through the home without waking anyone. On October 18, 1980, volunteers and officials planned a massive search for LaTonya and other kids missing on the city's west side. Shabazz ended up on a team with a pregnant woman and her 2 kids, a boy and a girl. As Shabazz remembers it, they were searching a vacant lot when the boy, 13, got ahead of the group and saw something that made him holler.
One of the kids that I was with said, "Hey, there's some hair." And I looked down, and there was hair with 2 round bows on the end, like a mother would pay part a child's hair, and on the side it will be, I guess they would call ponytails, and it was tied in with, at that time they had the 2 little round balls with the rubber band, and you'd wrap the rubber bands and then tied it in, and the balls was about this big on each side, 2 balls on each side of the hair. I can still sense that feeling. And it was 2 types of feeling at once, it appeared to be. Happy that we found the remains, and sad and confused that we did. But to actually find the remains of LaTonya Wilson was devastating.
The image of LaTonya's remains was seared into Shabazz's memory.
I try not to think about it because I get like this. I try not to think about her. My reason is this was a little human being. And in somewhat adult, it had to be an adult to take her life. To take this child's life, man. You should be trying to feed this child, clothe this child, and say, get out the street, there's a car coming. Go home to your mother, Doc is coming. So I try not to think of her. But I do, and sometimes it goes deep, because the reality that somebody did something to her. And I was the one that found her remains, and the reality of it is it happened. This is something that I didn't hear on the news. This is something that I experienced. So you admitted to think of your child.
Police closed most of the child murder cases after Wayne Williams was convicted. He was a young black photographer, and he was tried only for the deaths of 2 adult victims in 1982. Officials named Williams the prime suspect in most of the kids' deaths, but they said charging him further was fruitless. He already had 2 life sentences. When Williams was arrested in 1981, many found the notion of a lone black killer hard to believe.
Nobody know who killed these children. And there's, 1 or 2 cases that they never found the body of? So it looks like to me they want to charge him and take our minds off the reality and say he did kill these 2. Possibility he killed the children. So now if there's no connection and you're saying that we didn't prove that, then let's get on the case and find out who killed these children.
With lofty ambitions, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms in March announced that police and prosecutors would take another look at the cases. The plan, she said, was to use new technology to test old evidence. That alone may be a Herculean task, but the process also poses a huge question. Can investigators win the trust of people who've doubted the official narrative for 40 years? In making her announcement, the mayor said the point was to find the whole truth, not to exonerate Wayne Williams. She noted cops have evidence, including hair and fiber linking Williams to many of the children. She also cautioned that the new inquiry might not be able to shed much new light.
What has changed is that we now know that DNA technology is much more advanced. It did not exist in 1981. And even when we asked for retesting of evidence that was in our possession in the 1990s, we now know that there are national databases online that give us an opportunity to access even additional information as it relates to DNA.
If we ever found anybody, I would hope God bless me to see the results of this case and sit down and say if the person is living now, or if the daughter is living and know that happened and my father did it or my brother did it or my boyfriend or husband, why do you think this happened? Why would you do that? And how many of you was it? And how did you actually go about doing it? All of that stuff needs to surface.